judgment seat. It's called the judgment of the great white throne in Revelation 20 and verse 11. And here it speaks about Revelation 20:11, a great white throne, it's judgment seat of the throne of God, and the dead, verse 12, the great and the small. The books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged from the things written in the books according to their deeds. And the sea gave up the dead, and death and hell gave up the dead, and they were all thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And if anyone's name was not found, verse 15, in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. So even though when an unbeliever dies, he goes straight away to hell. Jesus said that in the story of the rich man. But it's only his spirit that goes to hell because his body is buried on the earth. But in that day, it says the people who are in hell, their spirit is going to come back into their body, and there's going to be a resurrection. It's not only Christians who are going to be raised from the dead. Every human being that ever existed and died is going to be raised from the dead. That's what it says here. I saw the dead, verse 12, the great and the small, standing before the throne of God. And the books were opened means the record of their life, which is in their memory, was opened, and they were judged by what their own memory recorded from the day they were born till the day they died. Every thought, attitude, motive, word, they cannot argue with it because it's their own memory. I believe that God's going to judge us by our own memory, not by somebody saying he did this or he said that. Those things we can argue against, but you cannot argue against your own memory. That'll be your memory giving a record of your life, and every mouth will be shut. What is good or bad will all be seen there. And this is talking about the unbelievers who are judged according to the books, and then they were thrown back not into hell, but into the lake of fire, which is a bigger version of hell. But a similar judgment is there. We read in 2 Corinthians 5 verse 10 for Christians. And that is for rewards. The other one is for degrees of punishment, and here it is for degrees of reward. And Paul says, my ambition is, when I get to heaven or here on earth, to be pleasing to Him. And like you've heard me say this once before, that I'm sure every one of us, those of us who do get to heaven, when we get there, we'll have only one ambition. Whatever multitudes of ambitions you may have had on the earth, when you get to heaven, you'll have only one ambition. That is to please God. There's no other ambition. And Paul says, that's my ambition on earth as well. So it's like going along a straight line, and when I die and I get into heaven, I'm going to continue on the straight path. Same ambition, no change. Whereas people who've had other ambitions on earth are going to find, hey, in heaven you've got to alter your ambition. And how is it going to be when we get there? So it's wonderful to have the same ambition on this earth that we'll have when we get to heaven. That's the way to ensure that you have no regret when you stand before the Lord. Just make sure that whatever ambition you think you'll have in heaven, make sure you have the same ambition here on this earth.